Let's take a look at lesson 21. This is very similar to lesson 20 in that we are going to build a game that is already created from scratch. So, overview. In this multi-day lesson, the class uses the problem-solving process from Unit 1 to create a platform jumper game. After looking at a sample game, the class defines what their games will look like and uses a structured process to build them. Finally, the class reflects on how the games could be improved and implements those changes. Platform jumper. The game on the left is an example of a platform jumper. Press run to play it. So as you see, this alien is collecting the stars, and you can jump higher onto platforms that are above it, and it just keeps going over and over. You can make the alien jump with the arrow, move it left to right. You score by collecting stars, and if you score high enough, the background will change. You already know how to use the blocks you need to make this game just like this one, and you'll be making your own platform jumper in this lesson. So I'm not going to keep collecting stars until the background changes because I don't know how many stars that will take, but I believe the background becomes pink. You know what? I think it's at 25, so let's... Yep, 25. Okay. So this is very similar to the last lesson. In the next several levels, you'll be building a platform jumper game. Before you move on, you'll need to look at the project guide for this project. Wait for instructions from your teacher before clicking on to the next level. So on level 4, we create the background. The first thing that you will create for your game is the background. The sample game had 2 different backgrounds that were chosen according to the user's score. The first background has already been created for you. Look at the background 1 function in the code below to see how it works. Alright, so I clicked show me where, and here's the background 1 function. Let's click run. Okay, so we got a dark blue background with a yellow moon, and the way they made it look like not a full moon is that there's a yellow circle and then there's a blue circle in front of it. So that's where this dark blue and ellipse come in. Okay? In order for the background function to do something, you'll have to call it inside the draw loop. Okay, so let's see where they called background 1, right there. This is where they called it. Okay? There's also an empty function named background 2. Let's see where that is. Okay. So they want us to build the second background probably. You will need to fill that function with a new code to make a different background. Then test the code by calling the function inside the draw loop. Okay, so we're just doing the same thing. Read the code, do this. Read the code for background 1. Fill the background 2 function with new code for a second background. Test your background 2 function by calling it inside the draw loop. Hint, it's much easier to copy, paste, and make small changes to your code in text mode. That is true, but I am going to try and do it in block mode. So I'm going to copy it. Control-C copies, remember. And now I'm going to click inside here. Oh, yeah, the cursor is right there, though, so that will cause problems. So I'm going to go to Show Text, and I'm going to click on line 25, and Control-V pastes it. Now I'm going to go to Show Blocks, and I'm going to change these colors around. And that really should be, that should suffice, that should be enough. Okay? Yellow. Okay, and now we need to call the background in the draw loop. So I think since there are no conditions, all we want to do is change this to a 2. Awesome. So it's different. And if we change it to, let's change it back to 1. And it goes back to 1. Cool. Score variable. Now that you've created your backgrounds, you'll need to choose when each background is drawn. For that, you'll need a score variable to hold information about your player's score. You should always give your variables a starting value at the very beginning of the program. That way, they are available for any code that comes after. Right, so at the top of the program, that's where we create variables, okay? So let's create the score variable, and let's set it equal to 0. Okay, this is the same stuff we've been doing in the past lessons, okay? Do this, create a score variable, and set the score equal to 0. So we already did that. If you followed along, that's what we did, okay? And what we're going to do in the next coming levels is we're going to say, if the score is greater than 10 or 5, change the background from background 1 to background 2. Choosing your background. Now that you have your score variable, you can use it to choose the right background for your game. You can see an example of changing your background according to your score in Lesson 19, Level 11. Okay? Do this. Inside the draw loop, use an if statement and your two background functions to draw your background according to your score level. Test your code by changing the start score to 0. That means right here. Change that to 100 after we make this if statement. Then running the code to see whether the background changes. Challenge, we'll read that after we do this. So in the draw loop, we're making an if statement. Do we want if else? Let's stick to if, because I think I can just say if score is greater than 99 or 100. Score greater than 99. Do I need to put the variable in here? Let's see if that works. Okay, so now we call our function for background 2. Background 2. Okay, let's see. Okay, so background 1 shows now. Now I put the score to 100. And yes, it worked. Okay, challenge. If you have a third background, you can click the plus sign at the bottom of the if block. Another space will appear for your third background function, as well as a place to check the score again. So I think what they're saying is create a third background. I don't know how you could do that in an if-else statement, though, so I'm going to skip that. You can figure that out on your own. I'm sure I could figure it out, but it would take me a couple minutes, and I want to make this video as short as possible. Make the scoreboard. You'll also need a scoreboard so the player can keep track of the score. There's already a show score function written, but it only shows the text score and not the actual score. Okay, so here's the show score function and not the actual score. You can see an example of a working scoreboard in Lesson 16, Level 9. So I am going to open this one in a new tab because I am going to copy some code from there. Do this. Read the code in the show score function. Call the function inside the draw loop right after you draw the backgrounds. Okay, use the text block to display the score at the top of the screen. Okay, I think I know how to do this without looking at this right here. Call the function inside the draw loop right after you draw the background. So it's saying go to the draw loop, and call the function I'm pretty sure they want the function called here, show score. Alright, after you draw, let's change this back to 0. Okay, yeah. This is making me think that maybe we want to call both backgrounds. Whoops. So I'm going to put this background 2 here. Okay, yeah. So I must have made a mistake in the previous level by not calling both backgrounds. and that was not letting this score text to display. Okay, so now we're all good. Now we want to use the text block to display the score at the top of the screen. So when the score is displayed, it should say 0 right here. And the way we do that is go to our show score function, and we're going to use a text block again. So let's grab a text block. Okay, here's a text block. I'm going to put it beneath this score text block. And we're trying to display this score variable. Okay? So what do you think we want to put in here? We want to put score. Okay? But here's a problem I've seen a lot of kids run into, is that they keep the quotation marks in there. So just putting score, all lowercase, isn't going to make it work. Okay? You need to take away these quotation marks. Okay, and now it should show a 0, but and it worked, but the 0 is right here. We want it to be right about here. So let's say 80-20, because that's what, if you look down here, it looks like it's about 80-20. Okay, and let's increase the y to 30. The y value. I'm increasing the y value to 30 to lower it down. Okay, that looks a little better. Let's move on. Create a platform sprite. Now that you have your background and your variables, it's time to create your sprites. Usually, it will be easiest to start with the sprites that are part of the environment, such as your platforms. The sample game had 2 platform sprites, but you'll make just one first, then test it before copying and pasting the code to make the second. Do this. Look at your worksheet and choose a platform sprite to create. In the Create Sprites area at the top of your code, create your new sprite with the Create Sprite block, giving it the correct position and label name. So let's say, show me the block. This block creates a new sprite. That was really deceiving. They were supposed to point to this Create Sprite block. And we are putting it at the top of our code in our variables. Okay? Or, well, you could put it below the Create Sprites too. So we don't have one yet though. So let's go into animation. Oh, they did create a platform for us. I think it's okay to use this. Let's use platform. Let's name this platform too. Platform. Okay. So use the set animation and velocity Y blocks to give your sprite the correct image and downward velocity. So here's the set animation block. We're going to put it right there, and we can name the platform, the variable. And of course the animation is also platform. And now we want to give it a positive Y velocity. Let's say 3. Okay, cool. It works. Test the sprite to make sure that it's moving and in the correct way. You might need to adjust its velocity. Hint, the sprite will go off the screen and not come back. You'll make it loop back around in the next level. Okay.